first play we're going to look at, 2nd and 2, one of the Patriots' first offensive plays.
As I scroll the Twitter sphere here, I found an interesting landing spot for Cooper Kupp should it happen this way. This is from Greg Bell out of Seattle. He's a radio guy, went on his show a couple times out west. But Cooper Kupp is a Yakima, Washington native. He went to Eastern Washington. And the Seahawks have parted ways with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett in the last 5 days. So I don't know if we've thought of any other potential landing spots for Cooper Kupp, but it wouldn't shock me if he landed in Seattle. They've shedded some potential salary cap space. Now they're trading, or they're going to sign Sam Darnold to a mega deal. That's not a terrible spot for him in Seattle. If they're trying to kind of turn this thing around and win now-ish, pair him up with Sam. It's an interesting thought. This just came across the timeline, but what do you say to him potentially going to Seattle?
I think it makes sense because of the Eastern Washington connection, the need for the Seahawks, like everything in the tweet, it makes sense. But like, what do the Seahawks have that's more appealing other than like maybe being in a place that you like more and obviously location? Yeah. But I mean, like Thomas Brown is here. He worked with Thomas Brown. Kendrick Bourne is here. He went to college with Kendrick Bourne. Now, those aren't the only connections. He might have some in the Seahawks building that I'm not necessarily privy to, but interesting. But I do wonder where the edge is for Seattle. Because Sam Darnold isn't like an established quarterback. He's a veteran who's had one very impressive year versus like Drake May, who literally, when you watch him, it's like he looks kind of like Matthew Stafford, which I said before they even drafted him. I was like, there's some things in here like the touch, the way they attack defenses are very kind of similar. So, yeah, it would be interesting. But
I wonder. You wait.
Also, really quick, I wanted to address something because I actually remembered a Mike Vrabel quote that's perfect for the comment. Okay. Where is it? Okay. It was basically that, where is it? It said that like a team can't operate in fear. Mike Vrabel's quote to us was literally that they wanted to be aggressive but not reckless. So when you think about the DK signings and all of these things and like T. Higgins, that's the name of the game, is aggressive but not reckless. Like you can't just do whatever just to get a guy in the building. You have to consider the benefits, the risks, and all that.
For sure. Well, we're coming up at about an hour into the new league year, and Cooper Kupp is still on the board. He has not signed anywhere, so we'll hang out here for a little bit while longer. Call it an hour 10 maybe. We'll see if anything comes out, and if it doesn't, and we got to kind of wait. Thanks for hanging out with us, and if anything does happen or does break tonight, we'll be back on the channel just about immediately to break it down in further. But obviously, we appreciate you all hanging out with us here. And we'll stay for a little while if anybody wants to throw in some more fun things that we can banter about in the chat. I did see something earlier. It had to do – I can't find it now. But let me see if I can find it. Everyone's just trying to put together like a Boston Sports Media football team right now. They want me in the slot. They want you at wide receiver. They want Mike Giardi at tight end.
I want to be the Joker.
We did play flag football, and Amit tore his knee up, so that was fun.
Am I lagging?
A little bit. You're a little blurry.
Close some stuff. I don't even have tabs like that. It's probably ESPN.
I think you're doing a little better. Hey, chat, help us out. Is Taylor lagging? Jeff says put Bedard at long snapper. All right, we'll answer a question here we have from our friend Los Talks Pats. If the Patriots were to sign Cooper Kupp, a Vrabel mold slot cornerback, and trade for Higgins/Ayuk, what would you guys do if Travis? Okay, hold on. There is a Taylor. Please don't poo-poo on this. There's a lot going on. So Pats signed Cooper Kupp and trade for Higgins/Ayuk, and end up with a slot cornerback to play with. So we're loaded on both fronts.
I don't think any of those moves affects what I would do about Travis Hunter, to be honest.
Okay, so what would you do?
Take Travis Hunter.
No, okay, but where would you play him, I guess? Oh. That's not the question. Okay, what would you got? I would still take Travis Hunter if he fell. 100%.
Yeah, I don't care about any of that other stuff. There's no move they could make right now that I was just like, oh, no, you don't need Travis Hunter. Yeah, I would take him. I would take him either way. And now, in terms of where I would play him,
Right.
they have Cooper Kupp. I'd still try to give him the JC Jackson treatment and have him rotate in at cornerback. Now, it would be interesting where he would play because you have Carlton Davis. Now, a guy who's probably going to miss time. So, of course, that's significant. Obviously, he could slide in and be the starter for you maybe. But, like, this is an interesting thing. Like, is there any reality where we see Christian Gonzalez sliding into the slot and becoming kind of like a Jalen Ramsey where he's massive? You can use him on blitzes. He's actually, no, I think Gonzo's a physical run defender, but I don't think he's like that dude who wants to really, like, get sticky in the slot. So, nothing against him again. I just think like you truly have to have like a different mentality to be a very good slot corner because again, you're basically a linebacker in a lot of ways. But I think you still want him to play both sides. But maybe if you were set at corner, rotate him in. But I think primarily, either way, I think he should primarily be a receiver because you got Davis and you got Gonzo. You're not really desperate at cornerback.
Yeah, I totally agree there as far as if this is the situation, start him at wide receiver and trickle him in a corner, not vice versa. Where eventually, again, Carlton Davis, we know he has the injury history right now, so that could kind of bite you at some point. And then that's why Travis Hunter is such a great prospect is because you can sort of fill him in on both sides of the football wherever you see fit. You don't have to play him all the time. You can kind of make it work that way. So, again, I'm with you. If this is the situation, I would not hesitate to take him. If him or Carter fall somehow to 4, you take one of those guys. You're not in the situation at number 4 to draft for need if one of those guys are there. They're the generational talents, and it's that simple. A message from Cooper Kupp has landed on the social media sphere. Cooper Kupp just tweeted, 8 years of incredible memories. We talked often about the Rams being back in LA and how we would grow to be something special here. And there was frustration early on around getting the buy-in from the people of LA. But we knew at the end of the day, it's about providing moments, shared experiences, the things the parents and their children will talk about and remember forever. That is what makes the ending of these last 8 years so difficult. It's the ending of something we have enjoyed building with you. Thank you for these shared memories. Thank you, LA, for welcoming my family with open arms and allowing us to grow here. Next chapter starts now. Best is yet to come. That is from Cooper Kupp on Twitter. Just now, he shared a video as well. Not going to play the whole thing for you, but Cooper Kupp has officially been released from the LA Rams, and he has officially tweeted out his thoughts on being released by the LA Rams. So that's where we continue to stand and wait for this thing to go. Cooper Kupp has been curious about the prospect of joining the Patriots, according to Andrew Callahan. And we will see if they ultimately make the run. But we are an hour and 3 minutes into Cooper Kupp being a free agent. He has yet to sign anywhere. So we'll keep an eye on that.
Koopa, where are you, Koopa?
Is that your number one? We'll use this to kind of segue before we get out of here. Is Cooper Kupp your number one, the top of your priority list now on what the Patriots should do next in free agency?
I think Cam Robinson's a bigger priority because as much as I like Cooper Kupp, he's not really the really quick separator that he used to be. So I still think that offensive line should be key. Obviously, it comes down to the contract. Like if Cam Robinson is not a comfortable place, hey,
for sure,
you obviously need to draft a left tackle, but it's not like the league didn't know that already. So you're not really in a dramatically different spot there. But with Cooper Kupp, I will say I'll actually pull up the stats I found on him to give people a little bit of background because stats were pretty interesting. As we know, this was not his best season. So still, he would have been the most productive Patriots receiver. He had 67 catches, 710 yards, and 6 touchdowns, twice as many touchdowns as the next Patriots wide receiver. Only about 80 or 90 yards more than Pop Douglas, actually, and only one more catch. Pop was actually more efficient than he was. And in the playoffs, Cooper Kupp had 8 targets, 6 receptions, and 90 yards. Important thing to note, though, is that like almost half of his production last season came in 3 games. Guess how many targets he had in week 1? They fed him the ball, and I mean like DeAndre Hopkins' first game in Tennessee level fed him the ball. Guess.
17 targets.
No, more.
What?
21. I think it was
That's
22,
crazy.
But one didn't count. He had 21 targets, 14 catches, 110 yards, and a touchdown. Then week 9 in Seattle, he had 14 targets, 11 catches, and 104 yards. And then week 11, Patriots, he had 10 targets, 6 catches, 106 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So a lot of his production came in a very quick time frame. Then when you look at the down season, so he played the 3rd fewest snaps in his career. I think a big part of that was they actually started to phase him out later in the year. Like when you look at his numbers with, you include the postseason, they kind of drop off pretty dramatically. 2nd fewest yards per route run in his career. Had the 2nd most contested targets. A lot of that, if you actually watch the tape, is he just doesn't have the explosiveness he used to have to separate against man coverage. So he has to be schemed open or given some type of advantage. He has some vertical burst, I will say, but if it's like man-to-man in those short areas, it's got to be to like motion him to a flat or a shallow crosser. And even then, like on the crossing routes, he just didn't have the speed to pull away. Yards after catch per reception, 3.8, the fewest of his entire career. Again, he's not really making anybody miss. He's not fast enough to pull away and doesn't have the burst. So you're pretty much just going to get what you have, like purely a possession receiver at this point. 2nd fewest conversions of his career as well. Now, there were some positives, all right? Now, while he did not have, he was about middle of the pack in terms of targets in his career, but he had the 2nd lowest drop rate of his career. It was also tied for the 7th best among wide receivers, so you can take that. And he still had 110.8 wide receiver rating when targeted. That was his highest since 2021 and ranked 11th among qualifying receivers. Also, no penalties. So it doesn't look pretty. And again, a lot of that production came in a short time span, but he's still very efficient. Not very good against man coverage in terms of just efficiency of catching the ball. When you look at the yards per route run, touchdowns, they're about the same. Here's what surprised me. When you think of Cooper Kupp, you would think, okay, this point in his career, he probably was eating underneath, right? A lot of short stuff. That's probably where he was the most efficient. Sure. You would be wrong. He was at his best on deep targets. Now, among, again, qualifying receivers, I think PFF had like 41 guys in this criteria. Cooper Kupp had the fewest deep targets, right? There were only 16. But he had the 3rd highest catch rate, caught every single contested target that came his way. And from what I saw on tape, every target that was in his area code, he actually wound up catching, didn't drop a single pass. Now, where that production came from, one, the Rams love throwing to the sideline. So a sneaky thing about Kupp's game that I didn't know, dude has toe drag swag. I had no idea because, again, Cooper Kupp, you're thinking more the middle of the field. There were like 3 catches he made where he had to drag the toes, where one official was saying it was an incompletion, or at least 1 or 2, and the other guy was saying it was a catch. So it was that degree of difficulty, but he was able to do it. So those deeper outbreaking routes, also up the seams, like the dude, there was the play against Jonathan Jones where obviously he catches it and Jonathan Jones misses the tackle, but he had a couple of really impressive catches in tight coverage down the middle of the field. So you can see where his skill set would potentially translate for Drake May. Has a little bit of vertical burst when he can get the corner on their toes by manipulating his speed in his route. But that's really why I'm intrigued by Cooper Kupp. It's the reliability. He's going to catch everything, but also he can produce downfield, mostly against zones. Like, it reminds me, honestly, of Juju, actually, a couple years ago. Because remember in camp, there got to a point where whenever it was an obvious passing situation where it seemed like, okay, you're probably going to get man coverage, they started putting Pop in, and they would take Juju out. He was more of that zone beater guy. I think that's kind of the area that I would expect Cooper Kupp to be in with a little more verticality. But I like the idea of rotating him because you don't want Pop on the field on early downs. But Kupp allows you, like the Rams, to go 3 receivers, give yourself a schematic advantage in the run game, and use Cooper Kupp as almost like an extra tight end. So I like that he would be a more of a rotational player, but also for a guy like Todd Downing, who's never coached wide receivers before, he's coached tight ends, has the quarterback's perspective, that's his background. But Cooper Kupp could kind of be that middle ground where he's able to maybe translate some things to the younger guys and be almost a pseudo coach. Because as Mike Vrabel said, the players are going to be the ones that set the culture. Coaches can only do so much. Having a guy like Cooper Kupp, also think he'd bring the best out of Kendrick Bourne. Like KB has said that Cooper Kupp made him a better player and was like, you're better than me, but I work harder than you. Yeah, I just feel like he's the kind of guy that elevates everybody around him. So, you know, as everyone keeps saying, not the player he was, but there's definitely still something left. You just have to manage your expectations. I'm not going to lie. They had us in the first half. After agreeing to terms with the Carolina Panthers, former Eagles defensive tackle Milton Williams decided to pivot to the Patriots after being offered a 4-year deal worth $104 million, making him the 3rd highest paid defensive tackle by average annual value and the highest paid Patriots player by average annual value in team history.
Now, there is skepticism over whether Williams can live up to his contract, as he's coming from an Eagles defensive line that was absolutely stacked with talent and was able to rotate players due to their depth. But I'm going to take a look at the stats and the film to prove that Milton Williams can not only be a difference maker as a pass rusher, but also as a run defender and become the key piece to what is going to be a revamped Mike Vrabel defense. Take this third down red zone sack against Falcons right guard Cody Lindstrom. Lindstrom comes out of his stance with both hands out in front, and Milton Williams decides to counter by first swiping to knock the guard off balance, then continuing to swipe away the hands, getting underneath Lindstrom, and taking down Kirk Cousins for a sack. Milton Williams did a full 180 as a pass rusher in 2024. Unfortunately, the same can be said for his run defense, and not in a good way. After ranking top 10 among interior defensive linemen in run stop rate in 2023, Milton Williams graded out as a bottom 10 interior run stopper in 2024.
Make sure to become a Patriots Press Pass member so you'll get full access to this Milton Williams deep dive, as well as all of our other exclusive content.